on this beautiful spring day that we're all here together, which is so great. Howdy, friends. Hi again. I just want to say thank you to the Seligmann Center for having us this afternoon, and thank you for Janet and Liv for putting this together. Today I'm going to be reading with Robert Kelly, who I like to describe Robert as my teacher who was never really my teacher. Is that about right? That's about right. And so I've never read with Robert before, and so thank you, Robert, for coming down and reading today. Here we are in this place where European surrealism touched down in America, and I thought today I would read some work from my new book that actually has to do with not surrealism, but futurism. So this book actually just came out. It's called The Olfactions, and it's poems on perfumes. So this book is comprised of 8 long poems. 7 of the 8 perfumes are highly conceptual, and perfumery is a really interesting land these days. When people are creating a perfume, a lot of times they're coming up with a backstory, and then they're trying to make a perfume that kind of matches that story. So one of the poems that I've written is about this perfume called Olfactions. And I want to read you a paragraph of the commercial language of the backstory for this poem and this perfume. On the island Isolino, a tiny island in the heart of Lake Maggiore in northern Italy, lies an elegant 19th century villa surrounded by a luscious garden amid placid lake waters. It was in the golden years of the early 20th century that this garden was the setting for one of the most intriguing love stories, that of the ravishing Princess Vittoria Colonna and Umberto Boccioni, the vibrant young painter who was among the founders of the artistic movement of futurism. So this is what they came up with first. And then they thought, oh, we're going to make a perfume that smells like this, which I just think is so interesting. My research into Vittoria Colonna, I mean, there's probably a more modern princess somewhere by that name, but the famous Vittoria Colonna was a muse of Michelangelo. So it's possible that the story was combining a 15th century princess with a 20th century painter, and that might be another layer of this. Okay, so these poems are long. I'm going to read you part of one. It's going to take about 20-25 minutes for me to read this. And what it's going to feel like is it's going to feel like a lot of small poems linked together. All right? So the title of this poem is called An Extended Environment with Metrical and/or Dimensional Properties. It's after the perfume Olfactions, and it was made for the company Eau d'Italie, and the perfumer is Alberto Morias. The opening is citrus, a creamy green, which very soon morphs into a creamy osmanthus and cologne. Oh, so reminiscent of so many very good scents of the past dozen years. From the creamy citrus beginning to smooth jasmine, amber, papyrus, Olfactions is balanced and hopelessly neutral. Oh, I should also say I'm wearing the perfume that I'm writing about. So if anybody needs to smell what this smells like afterwards, we can do that. And also these poems it's my own poetry, and it's a lot of appropriated commercial language. You'll hear things I've ripped off from various perfume reviews, so you're going to hear a lot of voices in here. An isolated 9th century villa surrounded by a serene water's juiciness. However, in the years of the 20th century, its gardens were arranged by love and its plots. Futurism charmed a princess. Nearly a century later, time arrived, so that doubt could be created out of Italian waters. Innovation, its torsional age, a lake in enamel paint. Take risks in an Italian garden in summer, enough to affect the lake. Create a legendary nose with its dynamic parenthesis and flowers in futurist drawings. Write this down in enamel paint, water lilies, citrus, aurantium, sheets of figs fallen, their pink-budded italic characters, jasmine, sambac, amber, papyrus petals. Featured arrows reflect this type. There was no endpoint listening to that thief. The dog was a linking verb to the driver in the car. Dial tone. Was Noah a drunk? I throw my toys around. The key is that all the stars are on fire. I had to reinstall my dog, longhorn, pawn, anxious for nothing, immortal indications. A glorious garden of creamy white flowers at the height of summer, on Isola Bella, or the shores of the Lago di Como, crisp but gingered. Eau d'Italie, Eau Lac, Bois d'Ombrie, Eau d'Italie, Jardin du Poète, Pastum Rose, Sienne l'Hiver. The Mediterranean and the refined charm of the Hotel Les Cyranoos. Beveled Supply Syndicate, an astigmatic bow to the music, his toolbox was strained. Certain flowerless plants, buttercream, but why is all the rum gone? With no comfortable sensation, a whimper of commas that look a lot like legs. Orange-bodied queen's accent. Umberto Baccioni's first sculpture was destroyed. I want to recreate this important work from 1913 using digital techniques to see if I could achieve something. Anti-graceful, 1913, cast, 1950 to 51. A demolition derby of figures and forms, planes and colors. We should express the infinite smallness that surrounds us, the imperceptible, the invisible, the agitation of atoms, the Brownian movements, all exciting. At intermission, there was an event that caused bleeding. She had a history, like music, a theater of dahlias, hydrangeas twist, an abandoned bundle of veility, a retractable leash, romantic numerals. I don't get this as a marine scent at all or as an aquatic floral, but I do like Olac. I just don't like the price. Alberto Marias is also the creator of Bulgari, Omnia, Cartier's Le Baiser du Dragon, and Giorgio Armani Sensei, among others. In Isolino, in an average small console of a lake, there is a house in an elegant field of 9th century calm. Succulence surrounds a lake. However, in the initial period of the 20th century, this garden was an arrangement of love. Enchanted by Vittorio Colonna and Umberto Baccioni, a new painter of vibrating S's. A century later, time arrived. In a way that Italy can create doubt made of water. Flowers and their romantic tips enamel a lake. Time becomes risk in a shining Italian garden between summer and its safe waters. Color might surround an affected lake, this shimmering mixture of vibration, its dynamic parenthesis of futurist drawings. Paint this in enamel. Water iris, citrus, fig leaves, rose characters, the italic nature of buttons, jasmine, sambac, the amber petals of papyrus. A floral this, thick, fatty. The hills were fake. The moon was a hoax. Did the internet invent America? There are rooms filled with apples. There are 5 heartbeats in the Taj Mahal. Autumn winters and her bad days. There are saints sleeping for a few dollars more in a Buddhist temple. Yard, sea, bolt, lake, spool, roll, real estate decorates sleeping children. The text from last night tells me to do a stunt. the leaves and their telling, another noun without pity. First, tell me the number of atoms in each element. A paper man cut into shreds. Both Umberto Boccioni and Wassily Kandinsky refer to their writings to the prominent electric theory of matter that reduced matter to speeches, manifesto readings, and poetry declamations. Boccioni dynamism of soccer player cross-stitch pattern in crafts, needle crafts, and yarn cross-stitch. Young man on a riverbank, explored optical experiments. The papers contain manuscripts. A slant, a Gorham silver original, a mosaic of gallant inventions, inlaid cocktail tables, the nightmare wedding dresses of ladies wrestling, their definitions in fabric, an incredible Greek in Japanese, in Polish, in the middle of a complicated house, the gospel of nowhere, September chords. Olot was inspired by a love story that took place in a beautiful old Italian villa in the middle of Lake Maggiore. The fragrance has an aqueous aspect without being insipid or watery. It opens on a note of Seville orange and delicate lotus, and it warms on the skin. A small, elegant lake, a field of 9th century calm, a succulent water. Nevertheless, the years begin to form time. A princess bewitched, a futurist, and a century later, time arrived in the form of a perfumed nostalgia. The lake scanned its shores for female flowers and their doubts. Tradition presents a torsion to innovation. The inspiration for enamel is a lake. The fragrant substances of love, the way the air fills with a safe water, a lake fills with concern. Legendary, shining mixtures. The dynamic clips of a woman, her futurist design. Paint these words in enamel. Screen, water, aurantium, fig, sheep, rose letters, rose italic, sambac, papyrus, and then say these words again. There is a storm everywhere in the world. There is slave trade. Minuet, insurance, matfest, metaphorically, my spine hurts, my stomach is sore. There are panic and jokes surfing the kingdom of heaven. Super friends of the deep, a symmetry of infants, dolphin, theater camps, and airborne text event. A very daylight scent which disappears in a flash, as anyone can see from this photo. There are damaged structures, black houses. There's an air-filled space containing auditory ossicles. We're in costumes at the stations of fire, cupcakes filled with the Holy Spirit. Your hardship glory chords, your frankincense. She is filled with experimental spirits. Cherry blossoms rain obsessively, flowers and shadows, the symbolism of sugar. Suddenly, everyone was happy at work, and I was dancing. Plaster works and the definition of modernity in sculpture. Why did Boccioni decentralize his paintings? Idiosyncratic figure of oils, this answer is closed to changes. This is done in rare cases when questions are being vandalized. Pantograph predicament, wallflower pearls of a lung part, of a lady's hand with a pen, of a lady god, goddesses with wings to crush your enemy, to thank them with oracles, statements using water, a bride, a corpse, surfaces, locks, eukaryotic, grammar deteriorated around us. The softest green fig leaf emerges, accompanied by an ethereal jasmine, the non-indolic kind. A note of papyrus balances out the bitter orange. If it was a painting, it would be Monet's water lilies. Soft silage, unreasonable lasting power of 2 hours on my skin, the most beautiful scent ever. Okay, yes, I say that a lot, and yes, you're about to argue that it's not. It's not. Average a lake into a field. There will be scandal left over, a lake calmly envelops the 10th century and makes Isolino into a small system. History swallows its love of arrangement. The princess hangs a magic on futurism. Time manufactures doubt. Pictures of enameled lakes radiate love and its fragrant materials, the compliance of Italian flowers, tradition in the age of renovation, torsions. The romantic attentions of a plant. Between the summer and danger, worry fills a lake. Scent is legendary in supply when a woman establishes her realness in detached, elegant words. Mandarin, orange, insides, and figs when rosebuds fill the body of a letter. Rattan in the abstract, an internationally psychopathic colleague. Marine interiors, whitetails, auctions, anatomy aspirator, a truffle advisory group to determine the number of deer in a game. Glassware, diatribe birthday cake, a magnetic catastrophe, a magnificent festering video. Am I capable of spontaneous movements? Of walking? Of being believed? Of being dissolved? Of being dissolved in a liquid? Of being endured? Of being bent and shaped? Of being magnetized? Of being stretched? Blonde, blended into the canon, juicing inheritance, blending the sand ceremony with the theory of heredity. Gouache, oil, paper collage, wood, cardboard, copper, and iron, development of a light box in place of Riot in the Gallery, 1909. Let's remain close to pointillism and show an affiliation with futurism, mainly in its violent subject. Breathing exercises. Deep barrel green pearl coat. The annihilation of promotional codes. A truly omniscient narrator tells the reader the vibrations since I fell for you. Your feet in ancient times, property grid, dynamic form fields. But it's just so beautiful. It's everything it's supposed to be. I've only been to Italy in winter and nobody invited me to join them on their estate, so what do I know? There's some superfluous guff about a love affair between a princess and an artist. They didn't invite me to join them either, so I say they sound kind of dull anyway, no matter. An average field in a house, surrounded by a lake filled with succulent scandal, surrounded by a calm enveloping 10th century. There is an elegance in reduced systems. Love swallows an arrangement of history. Vittoria Colonna hung a magic around Baccioni, a manufactured doubt, the not unromantic attention of a machine. Images of enamel lakes radiate their indications in scented envelopes. Between summer and its dangers occur a moment. Scented colors in accordance with water, the air fills an anxious lake. Materials glare like boats. In the market, interiors of tangerines and figs, the machine flowers of pink italics, buds in the letter to the body. Write some lyrics about dynamite. This poem is a reference machine. Rocket definition sofa, full gabled roof, fish genius fairy garden, futuristic harvest moon toolbox, synthetic cubism movement technical manifesto. Set in the front of the harbor, Hotel Eau de Lac features a snack bar, a lounge. Eau d'Italy is a niche perfume line established by the Sersali family. For color, scents, microcosmetics, perfume intelligence, and its carnal addresses. Rochester in stained glass. Lily bitter sweetness. Candy color, bold, bitter melon, extracted side effects, figurative language, something to be desired in autumn's books, gold grass, some residue. Even her shoes were italicized. No question, the execution isn't doing it for me. An aesthetic battlefield from which they sought to drive. This system reveals a certain dual nature of space. On the one hand, a fixed and extended environment with metrical or dimensional properties. An anemone ranch. Rosebud wrong diagnosis. Rosebud smock take me home dresses. Let's blow cyber bubbles. Light platinum Budweiser cans. A light puddle shootout. Sapphire atomizer. Here's a sample galaxy. Pedal paper for floats. Olak fits my imagining perfectly. It works like dream chemistry. Earth, light, air, wood, water, trees, stone, skin. It's all here, without being in the least bit muddy. It's not a pretty smell, but it's beautiful and very natural. Unfortunately, it lasts less than an hour on me when my skin is warm and sweaty. My skin is usually very dry and cold, and then this is going to be almost non-existent. But just as unrequited love is still love, so transitory pleasure is still pleasure. A house set in a field that is 10 minutes long. A lake, calm and scandalous, enveloped the 10th century in an isolated elegance. There are reducing systems that swallow the scene. The centuries depose their permanent staffs. Futurism moves like a prince that hangs magic. Even the factories are perfumed with it. Doubt arrives in place of fact, conformity, flowers torque with romantic attention, and their external parts of care. Enameled images of a lake in perfumed envelopes. Summers, dangerous moments are irradiated. The air that comes up to fill an expectant lake. Graceful weeks and their boats. Their elegant words of separation. There are inferior parts of the written range. Selection of Orantium, demand jasmine written in Sambach, amber markets, and their inner Mandarin. Flowers are scent machines. Italics indent their buds. Olak indents all the letters